We want to make Sokuzan's teachings available to all who would benefit from hearing the Dharma from his perspective. You may relate to this if you are returning to these talks time and again and find value in them. Consider supporting us financially and participating with questions during Dharma talks and at book studies. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this Friday evening. My name is O Lam, and tonight I will be talking about and endeavoring to respond to questions around Sangha. So the title of Sangha. One of the questions that came up when I was asked to give the talk, I asked, why practice together? I think some of the recent talks might have had the question come up either from the teacher or a student where, and I know I've asked the question, if everything's dependently arisen, why practice? Like something connecting those two things together. Why practice? So I just wanted to ask the question just a little further, maybe. Why practice together? And I think some of that's from Shoshi showing up here New Year's Eve and something inspiring about that. It's been inspiring for me to have Shoshi show up, and not to keep name dropping you here, but just that we have a place here where there's a group of people who live here, but it's here for people to come and practice with us as well. So I'm just happy that that's being used. Seems like as long as we keep the doors open, that's the root reason why we're keeping the doors open, is to have a place to practice and continue the teachings, practice together. And I know it's helpful for me to, as someone who lives here, to have someone else in the Zendo, either fellow residents or retreatants when they come through. And I was asking Sokuzan some questions, and I don't know that I could, and maybe anybody could really nail down exactly what it is about Sangha that's helpful, because I know when I really dig down into that question, just looking at what help really is kind of its own labyrinth, and seeing how Sangha might be described in a lot of ways as we would describe our friends typically, like that we like doing certain things together, maybe that we even like practicing together. That it's nice to have another person in the Zendo, on and on. But you live together with someone doing that after a few weeks or a few months, then those same things might just be irritating. So the Sangha satisfies all of those things in my experience. They're pleasant to be around, and they're also sometimes the last people you want to be around. And in talking with Sokuzan a little earlier, that seems to be important, maybe not necessary. That's the question I asked, like, do you need the Sangha? And it doesn't seem like you can say that like definitively that it's necessary, but it's at least been my experience that having other people who are studying and that you give some benefit of the doubt to, having them brush up against you either in nice ways or in abrasive ways over the years, seems to help uncover maybe some areas that we're not aware that we're doing. So not to correct each other or to even improve, but I think the image came up some years ago, like a rock tumbler, where just the nature of those things being in there and coming up together sort of polishes or does the work on its own. And the Sangha seems to be necessary to get that quality out. Or maybe that's just a way it can show up. I might tend to speak really mechanically about the whole thing where we're using each other. And maybe that's a little sterile. But that's at least a way I think we can go into looking at the Sangha, looking at having like the physical space, that seems to be a really important component of it too, where to have a group of people that you resonate with or share teachings with is one thing, and to have a space where you can either come together physically or to have like a hub like we do here where people can join virtually. Um, it's hard to put into words what that is. I know I've shared something in this area and I've heard it from other people where just coming here to the physical space is either powerful or even intimidating. I know I've been intimidated just to be here. And I think Sokuzan's said something in the area of more or less that you can tell that a lot of practice has happened in this room. Just a lot of momentum energetically, I guess you could say. Um, just that that's all that's happened in this room in particular for close to a few decades at this point, and in this building for a long time too. So that seems to be part of Sangha too, having a space to meet together and to help maybe even condition that space to be a practice space. It seems like it's a lot more powerful when you have more people, just the nature of having mass, I guess you could say there. Um, I don't have a lot to really bring up or hold forth about in this area. So if there are questions, I would welcome them. Otherwise, I can bring up some more areas that Sangha might be looked at, which I'm happy to do. Kanjama?
Kanjama Valley. What about book study specifically? When we're studying the Dharma together or the books that we've studied together, what is helpful about Sangha in that context? Bowing.
Thank you. And in particular, the way that we study here, where we're not trying to um, come to a conclusion or a group understanding. I think it's even more valuable that we do that. But what was the root question? Sorry.
Kanjama Valley, just what about Sangha affects book study?
It it appears that if we don't have anyone else to reflect with, especially in that area, like the conceptual mind, it seems its very nature is to be sort of ingrown. And there's nothing wrong with that, like to study something and to come to some understanding. But if we're doing that completely in isolation, it seems like it's either easy or it's kind of impossible not to think that we are understanding something and probably clearer than other people. And it's just so easy. I know that's how I can conceptualize stuff. Maybe I get a good in with an area that I feel better or that I really have it. And hearing other people, especially like I know we've done this, and I'm sure everyone here has done this, where I say something and it's very literal and someone understands something that's technically correct. They actually went through the words and that's exactly what you said, but it's not what you meant at all. Um, so having stuff like that show up in book study seems to be helpful, where um, helps to cut through maybe some of that right and wrong mentality that shows up, especially in conceptual study, that things have to be or are a certain way. Um, in looking at that idea that the Sangha is a sample or a microcosm of our larger world. So everyone sort of brings a really unique perspective and history and life experience to the book study. And it can be helpful to really broaden just our experience of the fellow humans who are studying the same path that we're trying to study. And yeah, anything more on that? Did I get to what you were asking?
Kanjama Valley, but it made me curious about, do you find a difference between the people that you live with, the residents, and the remote Sangha members, or if it's the same people every time, is there anything that you notice there? Bowing.
I'm not going to say anyone specifically, but there's definitely been times where someone, and maybe none of them are here right now, but someone joins online and has a quirk or a nuance that I know I've had the comment come up like, well, if they lived here for a few weeks, they'd probably knock that off. Or being around some other people, like in person, you would probably hear that thing that you're doing. So maybe that's not what you're asking about, but I'd say fundamentally, no. If people are showing up to use the space either virtually or in person, I don't think either of those takes precedent, um, or is more like Sangha than the other one, if that's what you're asking.
Conjure bowing. What do you, I mean, what is helpful about studying with Sangha? Do you uh, learn anything other than maybe what we're actually studying? Right.
Yeah, I think just with any of the way the practices are emphasized, being about the awareness, we get a chance to see a, a new form, and see what our mind does in that form. So we sit down, we see what the mind or the body does when we try to take that form. And I think in a similar way, we sit down for book study here and we endeavor to receive. There's a form that we're endeavoring to observe, and then we see what shows up in that space. So with that, I think we can see our projections, our commentary, our pettiness on what people are saying, or even our joy or excitement to be with some people that we really like studying with. Maybe it's a group of people that's been meeting that we really like this particular group, or it's another study that we don't like, but we do it anyway. Um, the earlier part of your question, oh, I can't remember how you phrased it, but there's something to be said doing it just because that's you've been asked to do it, like from the teacher, where we might like the way that we meditate here, or that we do a lot of shikantaza, but we don't really like the book studies. But the abbot SokukoJi is inviting us to do both of those, and my understanding is that those are both equally important to understand the way that we're confusing ourselves, the way that we blame other people. Um, the book study seems to be a really important tool for, and maybe not everyone, but I know I've been shown some things in that format that I don't think would have been kicked up in my like typical life situations, just the right person or combination of things that we were talking about to have a unique kind of difficulty that I was um, brought to, I guess you could say.
Conjure bowing. I want to go back to the difference between online Sangha and resident Sangha, or, in-person Sangha. I guess I don't have anything specific there, but it seems like there has to be a difference. And is there for you?
Come on, tell us.
I would say yes, but I feel like it's something we all just know already that I couldn't even say it. It's like we know that there's a difference on a video chat versus when we're in the room with somebody. Can you really say what that is? I can't exactly. It feels like being in front of someone is definitely different. I would just hesitate to go as far as to say something is lacking. Yes.
Say something about Samu practice. There's
Oh,
lots of other things, but that would be a definite. That's part of living here.
yeah. Thank you. Yes, I didn't even think about that. Just all of the other things that you kind of have to be here for. So taking care of the altars, there's just a handful of really basic day-to-day stuff that has to happen that you have to be here for. And a lot of that goes unsung, or what's the word? Thankless. It's a lot of thankless work. I know Kandrima does a lot of volunteer work for the organization, Samu work. Thank you. As does everyone here. Milka does countless hours on Ikebana. So in that sense, there's some difference, but I've seen people try to be creative and to say it this way, bridging that gap where they might, it's been a while since someone's done that, but I'm trying to think of how to talk about that. There are ways to be included. People can include themselves, and sometimes we've reached out in that way too. But Sokazan, was that the area you were wanting to be looked
There's a
at?
lot more in there. I'll leave it up to you. I just wanted to give you a little bit of input. There's Sangha practice. You might say what that is.
So here at the thank you at the monastery, and I understand pretty typical at any monastery is a work period or samu, which just means work, where it can be as formal as like a heiji where there's a video, I'm sure there's more now, but a video online that shows like a day in the life of what they do there. And it looks like they do like the same cleaning routine every day. There's just so many people that can just do it the same thing, same way every day. Um, but here we have like bathrooms we have to clean up. We have a foyer that gets dirty. It gets really wet and mushy here in Michigan in the winter. So we have to put out a lot of salt and shovel. There's a lot of tedious upkeep just to have buildings. Um, like we're in a city, so there's ordinances like where we might, one time we got cited because our trim was slightly less painted than it should have been. So we had to get that painted. So just to have a space where fundamentally it's just a wall that you're looking at, there's a lot of work that goes into that. Mowing the lawns. Um, so yes, huge differences of, let's say, um, just in maybe like what we're doing when we're here versus online.
Chandra Mabang, what has working with Samu helped you understand about yourself?
Me?
Yes, as the Shisui, as the Shuso, as the Sukatsu, as the Ino.
Pardon me. Please say what each one of those are and what their responsibility is, since you're supposed to be doing all that.
The Shisui gets a new raise every February, and then Shuso does too, surprisingly.
That was twice a year.
Twice a year. Yeah, both in February.
Quarterly.
The Shisui is the labor steward, and that functions. We've Sokuzan's either borrowed or is using the terms that would come out of like Eiheiji. So I might not be doing exactly what the Shisui and Eiheiji would be, but that word comes from a traditional monastery. Labor steward. So for me, that's either being the person to do some of the physical work or finding someone who can, or helping people who are here get the stuff. The Shuso is that person's boss, I guess you could say, above that, and takes care of the physical upkeep, has that all on their radar. And then I'm the Sukantsu, who's that person's, so I'm like three people stacked up so far. And the Sukantsu is right under the abbot, who has all the same responsibilities. Like if you were to not be able to show up and you couldn't say anything, it would default back onto me to assign someone to give the talk or give the talk myself. So there's a structure here where things are in place formally. And then your question was,
What has that shown you, each of those or all of them? What has that shown you about yourself? What have you learned about yourself and holding those positions?
yeah, I've learned a lot of things doing that. I'm smiling because most of them are how I was presumptuous about something and maybe a bit of an ass that later on I was humbled about. A few things like seeing how even though no one's telling me like when to get something done, I'm still kind of pushing myself a bit hard in the way that's not really sustainable. Maybe not so much this past year, but definitely in the past, getting burnout and not communicating and seeing how I tend to, when I get stressed out, is to just kind of burn out and shut up. Maybe that's not what you're asking, but yeah, just stuff's difficult, and I've yet to catch that ahead of time and say, hey, I need help. It's usually something starts to burn out, and then you or someone comes in and says, hey, you're not doing so good. Can I get you anything, or can you take a week off or a month off? So
Could you quick make a list of all the things you've done here in the last year, outside of any of those forums, Sukansu, Shuso, Shisui,
Outside of those?
outside of those in the like plumbing, electrical,
Oh,
carpentry? I'd like to know each one of those things.
each one. I've at least fixed the toilet.
Okay, fix the toilets. That's good enough for me. It's a long list.
It is. Yeah, there's a lot of building upkeep. It takes a lot of time. Way woo.
I am bowing. When it comes to the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, it always seems to me that the Sangha is the weakest link in the three. It's like you need the teacher, you need the teaching, and then it's like, can you tell me what is so powerful about the Sangha? Why we need the Sangha along with the teacher and the teaching? Bowing.
A little aside what you just asked to bring some attention to the teacher being the Sangha too. So if we have a teacher, like we're interacting with the Sangha. So like that's being taken care of. I don't know if I could ask you to say if just the teacher is enough of the Sangha.
I don't think so. I think it's different for each person, but it seems like that you need the three jewels if there's going to be any. There's no assurance of anything, but you could awaken without Buddhism. You can awaken. It's possible to awaken. People have done that. Spontaneous realizers. Who knows what causes and conditions are behind that? But the way that we're discussing this and the way Shui Wu is asking the question, I think it just shows up so many different ways. As Sangha as just as important as the other two. It might appear that way. I think a lot of people think that it's, well, you can just practice. And if you just read Dogen and meditate, you'll be all right. That's all you need. You don't really need Dogen's your teacher. It's not that you couldn't do that, but it's very likely to be circular. You might need a Sangha member to step in your way, not intentionally to be your teacher, but if you see what they're up to, you might realize that you can really learn from someone else and acting in such a way where they're trying to be happy, but what they're doing is obstructing you. And if you're a student, you can learn from that. If you're a student, you can learn from the Dharma. If you're a student, you can learn from the teacher. If you're not a student, all three of those are going to be difficult.
Thank you. Anything more on that? Yeah. You or me?
Shui Wu bowing. Now it's your turn to answer.
Something I've been curious about in that area myself is if we're confused about being somebody, like a person, it feels important to interact with other bodies to kind of challenge that. Like, I've been surprised how, oh, I don't even know what to say there. The way that people can be different is so different. Like people don't even seem like they're on our planet any sometimes when you really hear what's going on, they describe what's happening to them. So if I've been just kind of creating a situation here, able to, and you see this like in the population density maps, like where when there's more people around, they tend to be more progressive or inclusive of other people's lifestyles. And then when you're out in the country, it's, well, they've only ever seen 3 people and they're related to all of them. I'm thinking of kind of that quality where without the Sangha, it's easy to possibly have some pretty important cover-ups that we don't have a chance to look at while we're practicing. So if our intention to relate to the three jewels is to wake up, like Sokozan saying, like there's no guarantee, but we're possibly here to awaken. That's what our intention is. It's been sort of tested that the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, are a good way to do that. And the Sangha both supports us in coming together financially to either eat or to have a place, but also maybe with some uninvited teachings where it might be easier to take something from Sokuzan or our teacher because we gave them permission, that we have that more on purpose thing happening there. But when someone kind of crosses a line and we didn't give them permission, maybe taking that as a chance with the Sangha to start to receive that anyway. Um, so it's been said too, where the teacher, you start off with the teacher as maybe the first person that you're going to receive from, and then perhaps with practice and continuing, especially receiving the Bodhisattva vow, maybe extending that onto another person or two, and we can possibly start with the Sangha or practice with the Sangha. I've had times too where I've just been straight with someone in the Sangha, like I was having a hard time with them, and they've said that, I think they even said I could practice with that, like kind of welcomed me to, like not in a dismissive way either, but like let me know that that was okay, that I was having a hard time and that this was a good place to practice with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James.
Yep, James.
James Bowen.
Yes, sir.
Without the Sangha, there's really the fear that society would find some way to murder people that don't comply with the, social norms or religious norms. And the Sangha really protects people because if you know the history, I think it's Nalanda University that was sacked by Muslims, and all the monks died there. Without the Sangha, a similar thing would happen here, just, not as explicitly singular. But, it's good to remember that there's safety in the Sangha from actual danger. Alan.
Yes, thank you. Chocodawa.
Shokodao, we call the Sangha a jewel, and Kobenchino Roshi call it a garbage pit. So which one is it?
Same thing. I have a stick. I think I can say definitive stuff like that now. Which one is it? I think it is a jewel because it's a garbage pit, and it's not always a garbage pit. Or maybe it is, and sometimes the garbage pit has nice stuff that's not quite yet decaying in it. So maybe the image holds up. Was there more to what you're asking, though?
Shokodao, how about the idealism that we come to, well, the whole path, but it seems to show up in Sangha at first. And I think you alluded to it a little bit, that things eventually get difficult. Maybe how does idealism work and disappointment in Sangha?
Idealism, I think, is something that we just have to start wherever we are. Like we can't not be idealistic, and there's no way we can really know like what we're getting into. It's not exactly what you're asking, but if someone were to bring that up and they were curious about learning more, it would be to ask people, like to interact with the people who are maybe practicing or doing the thing that you're curious about. I think that that's missed sometimes, where someone either wants to receive precepts or start to practice, and they maybe cherry pick a few people that they really like, and then they get some feedback from them. And I just, being a little personal here, because I can count on half a hand the people who've come and like just talked to me casually or even formally around Jukai, just as a Dharma brother. Yeah, just have noticed that over the years. It doesn't seem like I'm included a lot with that, but that might be helpful to talk to people that you see eye to eye with and maybe don't see eye to eye with, because they're all part of the Sangha too, and you're going to be, you can't like pick who's showing up to the stuff that you're showing up to. So the idealism was the one part of what you were asking about, and I think you said disappointment. So naturally with the idealism, if you stick around, it looks like there's disappointment that will follow. And that's a good chance. I think I've seen that in my practice, and I know others have talked about this, where there's sort of some, I don't want to say turning points, but maybe some trials or some times where the practice really gets put in our face and we really have to ask, like, is this what I'm wanting to do with my life? But that idealism of the Sangha falling away, maybe for the first or for a big time, can be a good time to really, I guess, a few things that see that, no, this isn't something I want to do. I want to be someone going somewhere. That's another story for another time. Something SokukoJi used to share that I liked that story. But it could also be something that really turns you into like why you're here and why you're practicing. I know I've a lot of times had difficulty with someone, and the questions are much more around like when I go to ask a Sangha brother or an elder in the Sangha about it. It's about like how I can get them to change or be different or knock it off. And it's never like about me or what I can do to receive that as Sangha. So that being a point where maybe we turn more towards what our intention is to be in the Sangha, maybe what we can receive or even offer to the Sangha, and not so much about conformity or trying to get everyone to be like we are. Anything else on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Milka?
Milka bowing, can Sangha find out who we are?
I think Sangha knows who we are already. I feel like I don't know where I got this from. Maybe I made it up, but it's like everyone else on earth is already awake to our confusion. We're the last ones to wake up to that. So that's why we should talk to everyone in the Sangha and interact with them to get that little teaching that might maybe helps us along. Jishin, thank you.
Jishin Bowing. I just would like to say that without our Sangha, I have no clue how I would maintain the discipline to be connected with the study, with meditation, with the path, and I basically find my strength in those daily practices. Even I'm doing it through the distance, but I just would like to say that visiting SokukoJi twice last year, with a total of close to 1 month staying there, made my connection with Sangha much stronger in many ways. I just felt like I found a family. But also, you were talking at the beginning about practices, about the work. I think that this is being there is like moment by moment. For me, it's like immersion in the continuous practice, even with the cleaning. I found the most wonderful vacuum cleaner in the SokukoJi, which I recommend to everyone. But I...
Did you use our affiliate link?
Is what? Yeah, using complicated words. I use the one which is just a lot of fun. Doesn't feel like work at all. And I feel so deeply connected that right now, even if I'm on Zoom, I feel extremely invited by you all, and I found a lot of help and easiness there. So I'm deeply grateful for all of it. But I'm wondering, now our Sangha has been going through difficulties over the last number of months, and I'm curious how you see how those difficulties can build strength in the Sangha, and how they can shape Sangha in a positive way. Bowing.
I think you could find a lot of people who are joining our practices still who have said or would say that they definitely feel like some of our difficulties has brought us together. I know living here for sure, that's the sentiment here. Like, we definitely feel more resilient and that we've gone through something together. I don't know much more that maybe I'm clear if you're asking more than that, but I would say yes, that I think that it can be something that brings us together to go through hard times or to find out what's important for us or what that thing is that's bringing us together. And if that's still what we're all doing, and it seems like we're still all joining on a Friday night to talk about the Dharma with Sokuzan here with us and under those forms and guidances that we've been doing for years and years.
I'm just bringing that question because it seems to me that we are still returning to some pains which we have experienced, but I'm just trying to find in that situation something which you already mentioned, resilience and strength, which I see in people, and I think that it is in some way I see it as an expansion within the Sangha, even if the numbers are not as before, but I can sense that strength within the community. So I'm curious whether you see it as well, Bowing.
Yes, and especially with you in particular, Jishin, because you've always joined anyway, but the past 6 or more months, like you're at everything. Like every morning, your name's there on the screen, and every book study, you're at all of them. So yes, it's brought the close even closer, as shown by you and others. Mm-hmm. Yoko.
Milka Bowing, what does repeating the forms with Sangha day in and day out show us on the path?
I think I would say something like Jishin was saying. It's like, maybe she didn't say this exactly, but what I was hearing, it seems like if you do it enough or the practices are just done, no matter what, it's just what we're doing. It's easier to lean into that. I feel like it's really hard to practice even a percent of what I practice here. Not saying I practice here a whole lot, but it feels easier to get 4 hours here than it is like an hour out or something like that. So I think it shows us this how hard this is on our own. It's hard to do it with each other even. That, yeah, please.
Milka Bowing, does Sangha show us the right way to do forms?
Yes, when they do them wrong, it shows us exactly how they're supposed to be. That can be a fun area to watch too, where someone might just have a colorful way of maybe not being in the form, maybe being in the form, and you get to look at that, just that personality. And yeah, I think I've said enough. You, Dow, did you have something? You look questionable.
You, Daba, I'm sorry I missed the first half of your talk, but as soon as it's posted, I'll catch it up. Can you tell me the title of your talk? Bowing.
Sangha. The word Sangha. It's spelled different though, but you'll find out.
Mahesh Bowing.
Yes, please.
So is it required to do all the difficult work of, let's say, being in a sangha, dealing with other people, as well as being at a monastery, doing all the physical, intense physical work that you guys do? How important is that for awakening, bowing?
That's a good question. I don't think I could say something super satisfactory there. Just that it's shown up in the tradition a lot. I would say probably even that some traditions are known for their work, like their work period, or like famous stories even in in our Kagyu lineages that meets us through Sokuzan and Trungpa Rinpoche, the stories of Marpa and Milarepa, where he's doing stuff with his hands, building all of these buildings and being told to move them, or he wasn't told to build those buildings, almost like torture, and maybe even exactly that, torture. But yeah, I don't know what that is. You might even find that there's some explanations in that story where they're working through some ancient karma or something like that. But I would just say it's just a practical thing here. We're not like doing work just for the sake of doing work, but just stuff has to happen to keep the doors open, keep the lights going, keep us on good terms with the city. So we have like a nice mowed lawn, and the sidewalks are shoveled in the winter. That's a big one. Like you start having the snow come down, it's like that's on us to clean all that out. And it's been a pretty hellacious first wave of snow and stuff here. And even just having to be the person to call the people to come and get rid of the snow, like even that's a lot. Like there's just a lot of little stuff. We have is it 5 building properties, but there's like 9 city lots or something like that. It's just a lot of space here. It's all on us as volunteers to take care of it. So it's very necessary, and you have to come here and do it here to awaken. This is the only song. Only the song of SokukoJi is guaranteed for awakening.
Obviously.
All right, it is 7 o'clock, so we will close for the evening. Thank you. We'll dedicate the merit.